Lakunle is a super talented storyteller. He tells very beautiful stories and comes up with best of stories that you just wonder how he comes about those imaginations. But he had a problem. He just couldn't tell his stories by himself. He was very shy, couldn't face crowd, couldn't face people. The only people he could face was his friend and his father. And later his girlfriend, who he got to master a little bit of courage to be able to tell her how he actually feels. So GRIOT is a story of a talented storyteller who is not able to face the crowd and gives all his stories to his friend, only for his friend to betray him and stab him at the back. So the movie begins with when Sumi is telling a story that Lakunle had told him but made it look like his. So it was a story of a young man that wanted to be so rich. He was so poor, he wanted to be so rich. And then he was told that if he's able to live for days without touching or having sex with a very beautiful river goddess, he is going to be rich forever. So he goes to the river, and then the beautiful and most astounding river goddess comes out of the river and comes to be with him in the forest alone. But this man, so determined to be able to make so much money, spent days with this woman alone in the forest and didn't touch her. So tempted as he was, he never wanted to. He kept controlling himself till the night to the day where he was going to be free and become very rich. He just couldn't wait, only for the river goddess to tell him something he didn't expect. So it was there he was told that if I leave today and you do not have sex with me, you would never be able to lay with any other woman. You would never be able to have sex with any other woman. And then you would never be able to bear children of your own. But then you probably would be rich if you lay with me today and I'll bear you a very beautiful son. Or you may not and die very poor. But the likelihood that you would never have a child of your own after having all the riches in the world is very 100%. So this poor man just couldn't help but think. He kept thinking and thinking and thinking, and then the river goddess turned to go back to the river. He called her back and did what he had restrained himself from doing. He laid with her, and yes, he died a poor man. He couldn't become rich, but he had a very handsome, talented son who became very rich when he grew up. So these were the kind of stories Lakunle tells his friend Somi, and Somi goes around telling these stories like they were his. He made a lot of fame and became one of the best storytellers in the town. He became very popular, and then all this went to the height of it when the king himself fell very ill and needed somebody to tell him a very interesting story. Lakunle gave Somi, his best friend, some of his best stories, and then Somi went to tell the king. With time, the king recovered and decided to harness Somi. He gave him so much money, so much wealth, and gave him a title as a chief. All of this, Lakunle never envied his friend, even though he made him who he is. He had only one wish, that his friend helps him talk to his love, the one woman that he has had his eyes on that he had never had the courage to talk to. He wanted Somi to be able to talk to Tiwa, one of the most beautiful and talented singers in the town, to be able to fall in love with him. But then, as greedy as Somi was, he went back, told Tiwa all sorts of things except the fact that Lakunle had feelings for her. Well, unfortunately for Somi, Tiwa also had feelings for Lakunle. So, one thing led to the other. These two found out that Somi wasn't the good man and he was actually trying to separate these two. Love conquered and love won at the end of it. But then that was the beginning of more problems. The king, in honor of Somi for being one of the most talented storytellers, decided to give Somi his wishes. And guess what his wish was? So that is my cue for you to go watch this movie. If you ask me to rate this movie, I am going to give it a 7 out of 10. This movie was well done. It's a very beautiful story and brought back very historic memories. The setting was on point. These people helped to reveal the ancient times, and this was no mistake at all, except with a few of their practices, which I just don't believe happened in the ancient days. Aside that, the houses, the setting, the timing, even their currency was very ancient that you really appreciate how these people were able to take us back into the days. But then looking at the end of the movie, it is so obvious that there is going to be a part two, a sequel of the movie. Just when we thought there was finally a happy ending, the worst happened. And I am expecting a sequel coming up very soon. Lateef Adedimeji did so well in playing his character Lakunle, and he delivered so well as the shy, talented storyteller who couldn't face crowd. Lateef, who is usually the loud, rowdy kind of character in most of the films he's done, was very timid, very shy, and he really delivered that role. I'll give that to him. Characterization in the movie was on point. The writer did so well to develop all the characters. The character of Tiwa was so well developed. We got to understand why Tiwa didn't like Somi, and all the characters did so well to deliver the role they were given. I'd give them all the accolades. So if you've not watched GRIOT, GRIOT is still showing on Netflix. Go watch GRIOT and come, let's talk about it. The name still remains Mami Abnapukia. Kindly hit the subscribe button and let's grow this channel. Screw.